My name is Linda, and I'm 30 years old. I work in an office, live a pretty quiet life, and for a long time, I thought I'd stay single. I lost my mom when I was very young, and my dad raised me on his own. He worked so hard to give me a good life, and because of that, I never felt like I was missing anything. Still, the pain of losing my mom made me careful with my emotions. I didn't date much, I kept to myself. I even thought, maybe it's okay if I stay alone forever. But then Larry came into my life. A friend introduced us because she was worried about me being single for too long. At first, I didn't feel anything special. Larry kept asking me out, and I kept saying no, but he didn't give up. He was always kind, always respectful. Slowly, I started to open my heart to him. Over time, we began dating, and I found myself smiling more, laughing more. He became someone really important to me. After a year together, Larry proposed. He said he loved me and wanted to make me happy for the rest of my life. I believed him. He had always been gentle and caring, and I felt safe with him. When I told my dad, he got emotional. He cried. "Oh Linda," he said, wiping his tears, "I'm so happy for you." "Dad, don't cry," I laughed, even though I felt my own eyes getting watery. "You've grown up so much. I always wondered if this day would come. I was worried, but now I'm just really proud." Hearing those words meant the world to me. My dad had been both mother and father to me for so many years. I knew he wanted nothing but the best for me. So, with his blessing, Larry and I started planning our wedding. We were both working full-time, so our schedules were packed. We worked during the week and spent weekends picking a venue, choosing outfits, meeting vendors. It was exhausting, but we were excited. One day, we planned to visit Larry's parents. I had never met them before. Larry had already met my dad shortly after he proposed, but every time I tried to meet his parents, something came up. Finally, we found a day that worked. When we got to their house, I felt nervous. Larry noticed and gave my hand a gentle squeeze. "Don't worry, my parents are kind," he said. That made me feel a little better. We rang the doorbell, and his mom answered. She greeted Larry warmly but looked at me with a much colder expression. "So, you're Linda," she said, her voice flat. She looked me up and down before turning and walking into the living room. We followed her. The moment we sat down, she started questioning me, not in a curious or friendly way, but more like an interview. "Linda, what exactly do you bring to the table? Larry is our only son. Are you really good enough for him?" I didn't know what to say. I hadn't expected that kind of hostility. She went on, "You're joining our family. Are you prepared for that kind of responsibility?" It was strange. I wasn't marrying into royalty. Larry's family was just a normal family, yet she made it sound like I was trying to join a royal bloodline. I tried to gather my thoughts. "I hope that Larry and I will support each other in our marriage," I said. She scoffed. "Support each other? That's not enough. A wife is supposed to support her husband. That's your duty. You clearly don't understand what marriage means." Larry's father spoke up then. "Honey, that's enough. Sorry, Linda, don't mind her." I smiled politely, trying to keep calm. Maybe she was just nervous. Maybe she was just overprotective. Then Larry's older brother walked in. He seemed kind, at first, but then he said something that made my heart drop. "What really concerns me," he said, "is that you come from a single-parent household." "What do you mean?" I asked. "Well, people talk. A girl raised by one parent. It's not a good image for our family. How can we feel good about our brother marrying someone like that?" I stared at him, shocked. My dad raised me with love and care. He worked hard every day to give me a good life. I'm proud of him. Being raised by a single parent doesn't make me less than anyone else. But they wouldn't let it go. "If you didn't grow up with a mother, how can you know how to be a proper wife?" his mother snapped. I told them I had learned how to cook and take care of a home while helping my dad. I told them I would always try my best as a wife, but they didn't care. They ignored everything I said. Then his mother looked at me and said something that shook me. "I will allow you to marry Larry, but only if you promise to give everything to us. We are Larry's parents, and we expect full devotion. That is your duty now." "What?" I said, stunned. "I'm marrying Larry, not you." She just stared at me. "If you want our approval, you need to know your place." I was speechless. The whole visit had turned into a nightmare. I thought Larry would say something. I thought he'd defend me, but he stayed quiet. That night, after we got home, I brought it up. "Larry, Do your parents always talk to people like that? He shrugged. What about it? I looked at him in disbelief. They were so rude to me. They questioned my background. They insulted my dad. They're just old-fashioned. You'll get used to it, he said. But I wasn't sure I could. Still, we moved forward with the wedding. I tried to focus on the good things, my dad's excitement, my love for Larry, and the future we were supposed to build together. Then the wedding day came. It was supposed to be a happy day, full of joy and celebration. My dad gave a beautiful speech. My friends laughed and cried with me, but Larry's parents, especially his mom and dad, had been drinking too much. They were loud and out of control. Guests were whispering, and I could feel the tension. Then, right there at the reception, they walked up to me and began yelling. "It's too late now that you're married," Larry's father said, "but if you really want to be part of our family, prove you have money." "Yes," his mother added, "give us $1,000 every month, call it a bonus for being part of this family." I stood frozen, the smile falling off my face. My hands were shaking. Then my dad stepped in. He took the microphone. "That's enough," he said firmly. "You should be ashamed. This is a wedding, not a business deal. You're embarrassing yourselves." The room fell silent. And in that moment, I realized something. Love alone is not enough. Sometimes, it's not the person you marry who causes the most pain, it's the family they come with. And I didn't know if I could survive being part of theirs. I was surprised that Larry didn't think there was anything wrong with what his parents had said to me. "Well, I mean, the way your parents spoke to me." I tried to explain. I said carefully, hoping he would understand. "Oh really? They were just asking if you were ready for marriage," he replied, brushing it off. "I understand that they're concerned about their son getting married," I said, but what they said felt too harsh. "Really? I don't think they said anything wrong," Larry answered. "Besides, they already gave us permission to marry, so it's fine, don't worry about it." That was true, they did give their blessing, but I couldn't ignore the way Larry seemed to be on their side more than mine. That bothered me. He must have noticed the look on my face because he hugged me gently and said, "Linda, don't stress so much. My parents are just emotional because I'm their only son. It's hard for them to let go." But his words didn't comfort me. If anything, it made me feel like he didn't fully support me. He kept saying not to overthink it, that his parents just wanted us to be a strong couple like they were, that their harsh words came from love. "Maybe," I said quietly. "Even if they had high hopes for us, I still didn't think it was right for them to insult me just because I was raised by my father." Their words stayed with me. I couldn't believe people who said such things claimed to be a good couple. This marriage was supposed to be about Larry and me, not about winning their approval. Still, I chose not to dwell on it too much. The wedding was coming up, and I wanted to believe things would go smoothly. On the day of the wedding, we were surrounded by people, family, friends, coworkers, even our bosses. I walked down the aisle with my father, the man who had raised me and loved me every day of my life. Larry and I exchanged vows and rings, and as the guests clapped, I felt a rush of happiness I had never known before. In that moment, it felt real, I was getting married. At the reception, we walked into a beautifully decorated hall. Everyone was smiling, and videos of our journey as a couple played on big screens. Friends I hadn't seen in years came to talk to me. I laughed, I smiled, and I thought maybe, just maybe, everything was going to be okay. Then came the last part of the event, greeting the guests with both sets of parents. That's when I started feeling uneasy. Larry's parents were wobbling on their feet. Their faces were flushed red. It was clear they had been drinking too much. Some guests looked concerned and asked if they were all right, but we had to keep the ceremony moving. Then, just as Larry and I took the microphone, his mother grabbed my hand and yanked it away from his. Her voice rose above the crowd. "Listen here, Linda, after this wedding, you belong to us. Get ready, we're going to test you hard," she shouted like she was picking a fight in the middle of a wrestling ring. The room fell into a strange silence, broken only by scattered, confused laughter. People didn't know whether it was a joke or not. Then Larry's father grabbed the mic. "Linda, don't you feel ashamed wearing that dress? It doesn't suit you at all," he sneered. His mother added, "Tell her the truth, Larry." I looked at Larry, hoping he would defend me, speak up, say something, anything, but all he said was that he couldn't do that his parents weren't doing anything wrong. That was the moment I realized something I hadn't wanted to admit before: Larry would never protect me from them. no matter what. Even as the guests whispered and shifted uncomfortably, his parents continued, slurring from too much alcohol. If you're going to join this family, you need to prove you have enough money, they said. You should give us part of your bonus every year, and a few thousand each month. I stood there, stunned. I couldn't believe they would say something like that at our wedding reception. My face went pale, I couldn't move. Then my father stepped forward and gently took the microphone from them. That's enough, he said firmly, though still respectfully. Do you even realize how foolish you look right now? Larry's parents glared at him. Why are you interrupting us? His mother snapped. I knew this girl's father wasn't any good. Single parents are never good. They insulted the man who had raised me with love and care, who had done his best every day of my life. But my father didn't lose his temper. He just looked at them calmly. You people are worse than I imagined, he said. You refuse to meet me just because I'm a single father. I thought someone who worked for President Scott would behave better. I assumed his employees were decent. Larry's father froze. How do you know President Scott? He asked. My father replied. He's an old friend, and a business partner. Also, in case you didn't know, President Scott was raised by a single mother. So today, you not only insulted me, you insulted the president of your own company. Larry's father's face turned pale, his knees buckled, and he dropped to the floor, pleading. Please don't tell the president, please, he begged, completely humiliated. Guests began laughing and pulling out their phones. The scene had turned into a spectacle. But my father stayed calm. You can apologize all you want, but you can't take back what you said, he told them. Then he turned to me. Linda, do you want to come home with me? I nodded. Without another word, I took the mic from Larry's hands and said clearly, thank you, everyone, for joining us, but there will be no marriage. I will return all the money given to us for this event. Then I walked out with my dad. Behind me, I saw Larry and his parents standing frozen. Their relatives rushed over in confusion. Chaos followed, but I didn't look back. I returned the gifts and money with apologies. The guests supported me. They told me I had done the right thing and praised my father's calm dignity. Many said they were glad I didn't let myself be treated so poorly. Later, word of what happened spread fast. Larry's co-workers began whispering about how spineless he was, and how terrible his parents were. He became so embarrassed he eventually resigned from the company. Then news reached the president. Larry's father was demoted and transferred to a remote office. He lost respect from his colleagues and family alike. Meanwhile, I decided to focus on rebuilding my life and strengthening my bond with my father. We spent more time together, and I began to see just how much he had sacrificed for me. One day, he looked at me seriously. Linda, he said, would you consider taking over the business someday? You mean, becoming president? I asked, surprised. He nodded. Yes, I think you can do it. I didn't answer right away, but after some thought, I told him, I'll do my best. Since then, I've been training at my father's company. I'm learning as much as I can. It's not easy, but it's fulfilling. I want to become someone he can be proud of, not just as his daughter, but as a capable leader. Looking back, that wedding could have tied me to a family who never respected me, but because I walked away, I gave myself a second chance. Now, I'm free to grow, to lead, to live on my own terms. And to anyone hearing this, I hope you remember, your worth doesn't depend on anyone's approval, especially not those who try to tear you down. Thanks for listening. If this story meant something to you, please consider subscribing. I hope to see you again in the next video.